it's just 6:30 right now, actually, so we're good. Yeah, it is. There we go. We'll play it real quick. You guys, those water bottles are for you right there, if you want one. Yeah, might as well. Candidates, there's water bottles up there for you if
Thank
you
you.
need,
Thanks.
just, yeah, just in case.
Did you buy it down there in Fort Orange area?
Okay, are we ready? Parker, are we going?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. This is the candidate debate for Heber City by the Wasatch Taxpayers Association, and I'm Tracy Taylor, the chair of the Wasatch Taxpayers. Scott Phillips and Heidi Franco, and then around 7:30, we are going to switch over to the city council candidates, okay? Towards the end of each segment, we will have audience questions, so please feel free to sit up here and be ready to go so we can move pretty quickly through audience questions as well, okay? First though, I would like to give a quick public disclosure about myself. The Wasatch Taxpayers Association has conducted these candidate interviews over the last few election cycles. Some citizens asked if we were doing it again this year. Since no one had stepped up to do the general election yet, we're stepping up to do it for you, okay? So this is a little last minute, but we're happy to agree to do it. But I just want to disclose that I, as a private citizen, and not as the board member of Wasatch Taxpayers Association, decided to help some citizens last January with a referendum petition on the Harvest Village Development Annexation Approval by Heber City on Highway 32 and Highway 40 corner, now called the Slope. I am one of a handful of citizens who signed the petition application. Since Heber City originally denied the referendum to allow us to gather signatures, we have been in the appeals process in court to overturn the city's denial. I just wanted to be transparent with all of you and disclose my involvement with this referendum before we begin tonight. But I do not believe that it affects my ability to conduct these debates, okay? I just wanted to say that though, everybody's clear. So let's begin. I will give each candidate 2 minutes to answer each question, and then you will hear this sound when time is up. Okay, so I just want to, give you 2 minutes. Let's try it. Let's get through and be pretty concise, and then we'll keep the night moving along, okay? So great. First of all, why don't we start out with an introduction? Heidi, why don't you start first? Why are you running? And a little bit about yourself.
Okay, can everyone hear me all right?
No, talk louder. Cause
Are
we're,
you serious?
well, we couldn't hook up the microphones
Okay.
very well, so,
All right.
she can hold them too.
Yes, and
Okay,
she-
there you go. That might work.
Yeah,
Okay, let's see, is this any better? Is
yes.
this good for you? Okay, very good. I thought I'd better check because it's always, anyway. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I'm Heidi Franco, and I currently serve as your mayor in Heber City, and I'm really thankful for that privilege and honor to be able to serve you as a public servant. And I've done that for the last 12 years in our city. It's surprising to all of us. Yes, it is. Seems like a few blinks of the eye, and yet it takes years to get things done in our city. It's taken 6 years from the idea of having the Coyote Springs Park to actually doing it, this year in the summer. And so that's what I'm offering to you as why I'm running for re-election. There are many things we still need to do in this city. We need to find traffic solutions. We need to protect our open space. We need to continue to protect our air quality and our water quality. And that's the expertise, that's the work I've done over the last several years, and that is the work I will continue to do for our parks, our trails, our open space, our traffic, and bring solutions, all right, that have been tested and tried over many years, believe me, as well as the opportunities that will come in the future. A little bit about me. I am a professor of American government at Western Governors University. I've taught at 4 universities for the last 30 years. My husband and I are celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary this year, and yes, I have 12 children, 6 boys, 6 girls, and they are all amazing and fantastic people. I have 6 grandchildren and 2 more coming next year. Hooray. Do I still have time? I think I'm done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for putting this together. My name's Scott Phillips, and I was driving down from the Mayflower just about 15 minutes ago on my way back from Salt Lake, and remembering 20 years ago last week was when my wife and I drove that same way coming into the valley and just fell in love with the Heber Valley. We made a trip specially that day just to decide if this was going to be our forever home, and our decision was made pretty quickly when we came into the valley. Been here for 20 years. I have to admit that I'm part of the growth. I've built 2 homes here in the valley, and I have 3 children. So anyone who has children, I would say, is part of the growth. We love it here. We hope that our kids can find a place here as well. I just want to help Heber be the best Heber it can be. We know that there's growth coming. We know that these things are going to happen. Planning is paramount in what I'd like to continue to do and what we have done. It is interesting to note it up as well that things do take time to be completed. But this is a great place to live. I want to have a community, and every board I've served on in this community, except for the city council, it seems has been able to root itself in collaboration and cooperation. And I'd really like to bring that to the city council. I don't think because it's government or politics that it has to be so divisive. We can come together, we can work together, we can find solutions to problems. There's more that we all hold in common than not, and that's what I'd like to bring to the table.
Great, you both passed with flying colors, less than 2 minutes apiece. Thank you. Scott, why don't you start? Please give us your 3 biggest priorities if you become mayor.
3 top priorities would again be to bring collaboration and cooperation to the council, to our meetings. As mayor, you really don't have much authority. You don't have a vote. The authority that you bring is how you bring ideas, bring your goals and strategies to the council and bring people together to help those things come together. I would really like to do that, number 1. Number 2, I really feel like the downtown of Heber needs the C Street revitalization. When I talk to people, and I've been talking to a lot of people and say, where in Heber do you like to go and hang out? There aren't too many places. The city park with the new band shell and the Plaza Street is a good start to that, but bringing that all the way through to City Hall and making that C Street area walkable, restaurants, dining, things for the locals to enjoy, because I don't know, about you, but I like to go somewhere and visit a place and go where the locals go, eat where the locals eat, be where they are, do what they're doing, and that's what we need to provide here, is somewhere for the locals to be and to do. I would say my third priority after that would be the sewer district. We need to improve our sewer system. I know that's been used as a way to control growth in the past, but it doesn't make sense when everyone's complaining, why don't we have the infrastructure for this? Well, we need to make sure our infrastructure is ready for what's coming. We have 8,000 units approved in the county right now. Deer Valley East Village is planning another 8,000 units. So over the next 30 years, that's all approved, that's already done. We need to make sure we're prepared and ready to take that on.
Thank you. Okay, Deer Valley is going to be served by the JSSD district, and they already have their capacity plans ready to go. So thank goodness that's taken care of, right? But HVSSD, where all of our sewage goes, is Heber City. I'm the chair of that board, and we are planning extensively for that future growth and capacity. Okay, I just want to clarify 3 priorities that I would like to bring to Heber City. First of all, we need traffic solutions, and we cannot wait for the bypass road to be built. The bypass road, if we are lucky, would likely be built in 8 to 10 years, if we're lucky and we get that $500 million funded through the state or maybe through the Olympics. But it's still gonna take time to engineer it and then fund it and then build it. And it's not happening this year, next year, or the next year, or the next year. It's not. So I'll be working as hard as I can to collaborate with UDOT and the state legislature to get the funding and get it built. But until then, we need traffic solutions now. And I am proposing that we do that low-hanging fruit so we can have better north-south and east-west connectivity to get around town that's off of Main Street. Okay, UDOT controls Main Street, we do not. UDOT controls 100 south towards Midway, we do not. And yet we can do things on 100 east, 100 west, 500 east. Let me see, sorry, it's right here. Yeah. So that we can have, the cross streets, right, the cross streets on Main Street, 600 south, 1200 south, so that we can get around town easier. And I've been pushing for this for the last couple of years on the city council, and I haven't been able to make headway, but that to me is number one. We need traffic solutions now. Cannot wait for the bypass road. That does tie into the bypass road, and we'll likely have a question on that maybe in a bit. Okay, second, priority is the downtown revitalization. There are great things we can do in Main Street Park, and I think that's for me. Okay.
Hopefully we'll bring up the
Do I-
third thing.
Do we alternate who goes first?
Let's, who started that one?
I start that one.
Okay, Heidi.
Thank you.
Thank you for keeping track. Most people talk about what they value the most in this valley, which is quality of life. I would like to know what each of you have done within city government, not outside of your obligations as a city council or mayor, or even going back to your time as city council, Heidi. I'm saying, what have you done within the city process to enhance the citizens' quality of life?
Are you saying I can count the last 12 years or just the last 4?
Well, I'm saying if you were able to do things as mayor, which I'm not sure you were, but you could go back to some city council things.
Okay, here we go. And I will not go back 12 years, all right? But everyone, just in the last 4 years as your mayor, all right, I have worked to protect air quality. And it took 2 years, actually 7 if I want to go back far enough, to get that air quality ordinance passed that will protect our city. It's based on Salt Lake City's air quality ordinance, and it was recommended by the Mountain Lands Association of Government as a template, an example that the 3 counties that Mountain Lands comprises should follow. So I thought that was great in just the last 4 years. I also obtained an official air quality monitor from the Utah State Government. It's now over by Southfield Road on that canal walkway that's there. And they will be getting, they've got 1 year of baseline data. They need to get 3 years total of baseline data to see what is our air quality and how it's changing in our valley. The next thing that I've done in just the last 6 years, I'll say, is that through an MOU that was based on collaboration, communication, and trust with the county council and with the Midway City Council. We passed the MOU that started the Open Lands Board. And I was appointed chair of that board and have been chair since 2019. That board has worked very hard with your $10 million open space bond that you approved back in 2018. We've had 9 projects come into that Open Lands Board. I sit on it, county council members sit on it, Midway City Council sits on that board, and we have been able to get those 9 projects approved through the county council to save 623 acres of open space, most of it in the North Fields, and that will be permanently preserved as agriculture, you know, in perpetuity. That's just what the majority of our citizens wanted in the Envision Central Heber plan that we did back in 2019, and I've worked very hard for that. We hope to do more to preserve open space. I could talk with you about water quality and the stormwater plan that I proposed to the city council, which was adopted, but these things are incredibly important to me, air and water quality in our open space.
Can I respond to things she said in my comment?
You're supposed to talk about your
Myself.
accomplishments. We'll get to some debate questions in a little bit.
My accomplishments of improving the health and life of all Heber City residents. I mean, first and foremost, we have to have a staff at the city that is happy, willing to be here, wanting to be here, and luckily at this point in time we do. And I'm worried about their vitality, their future prospects, because a lot of them purchased homes before prices just went crazy. I am worried about that. In my time on city council, I proposed several raises. I don't know the number right now, but to really help to bring people up into alignment with our police force, with our public works department, with everyone who's involved in the city, getting them the livable wage to be here in Heber City. If we don't have a happy staff, we have a very unhappy citizenry, and that's number one for me, is making sure the staff is able to do the jobs that they're hired to do, that they are paid well enough to be here. Still concerned that a lot of our staff lives in the valley, and I'd love them to be here, be in this community. Worked out there was a deal with Jordanelle Ridge when they first were planned and approved. That's the 5,700 homes that Heidi voted for about 6 years ago. That when those were approved and planned, they had to do affordable housing, but it was only 80% AMI. I just recently worked with Jordanelle Ridge to get that down to 60% AMI, and then also units that were affordable to purchase for staff. And units that are selling for $700,000, we're able to give an opportunity for staff to buy at $450,000 so that they can live here in Heber Valley. So that's a huge focus, is me on the city. I know there's a lot of boards that we represent, but my focus is always Heber City first. Heber City is who has my attention.
Great, thank you. Let's talk a little bit about the other boards you currently sit on, okay? So Scott, why don't you start first? Tell everybody the boards you've been sitting on and anything that you think is noteworthy of any improvements in those areas.
Sure. When I first started on the council, I don't currently sit on this board, but was on the Historic Preservation Board. We were talking in our very first meetings of how can we preserve the history of Heber Valley, and it was brought forward an idea of plaques to honor historic sites in Heber Valley. And we've now come full circle 4 years later. Those plaques are in place, and you can actually go on a historic tour of downtown Heber, see some of the old homes, the school, the places where the school, we're like right back here, the old high school by the park. That, I would say, is a win. I also serve on the airport board, and one of my greatest accomplishments on the city council was working out the settlement from the lawsuit from 2016 with the airport. This was something that Heidi was very involved in with this lawsuit. I was able to get together with all the parties, with other council members, settle that, and it was a huge win. It was a 5-0 vote on the city council to settle that lawsuit. So as part of the airport board, that was something I was able to do. On the Tourism Economic Board we call TED. That one's a little bit more difficult because we have a focus in the TED to bring people outside of Heber into town, but also have the Chamber of Commerce in that venue. So currently my focus there is to get the Chamber of Commerce more involved with keeping local business local and keeping local business happy in here. We have to make sure that our local businesses are viable, that they're here, there's opportunities for them for grants, to receive money to, maybe they just had a hard year and they need some money for inventory or something else to keep them floating. There's grants to do that, and working on that through that heavy TED board. One of the things I do love about sitting on these boards is you're sitting there with other members from councils from Midway, from the county, from Daniel, whatever the people are coming to be on those boards. And in those boards, I truly feel the collaboration in the community of Heber. I don't feel that on the city council. There's too many surprises, too much information that comes last minute. There's too many things that just are sprung on us, that it's just hard to get that cohesiveness going. I did have an assignment to meet with the county, the school district, Midway, and we came away with that. Kendall was at that meeting. Came away with that with a letter that we proposed to each individual boards concerning the bypass road, because we needed to show conformity. We were all willing to let this happen. We needed to support UDOT and what they were doing. We came away from that meeting with a letter that we all agreed on, took it back to our boards, and some signed it and some didn't. But I take that as a big win. We were able to work together to come up with a solution as a unified community.
Okay, Scott, I'd let you go a little longer.
Thank you.
Because I want to ask you a question. Hang on a minute. Keep that microphone. The airport board.
Yes.
In the past, it's been a quarterly meeting. How often have you met with the airport board in the last 2 years?
In the last 2 years, I did 3 times.
Why?
There just hasn't been much coming up pertaining to the board. We've had rates and fees as far as landing fees and fuel flowage fees that we're trying to increase right now. But one problem with that board is it's really a user and tenants association. Everyone on that board is at the airport. And I'd like to make it not a users and tenants association, but a true community board where we have outside influence, people who are not from the airport, who are just from the community to be on that board.
Well, I'm just speaking for some citizens. I hear from a lot. People call me a lot. And one of their concerns is that this is not managed anymore by an advisory board that gives recommendations to the city council. There's no transparency in what's going on there anymore. That it's basically your admin or management of the city managing that airport, and it's not done out in the open for the citizens to know what is being discussed every month even, let alone quarterly. So that's a lot of citizens' concerns.
To that question, I would just say, nothing can be discussed outside of the meeting. So we do have a public meeting, every airport board is a public meeting. There is a meeting coming up, I can't remember if it's this week or next week, but any major decisions at the airport have to be made by the city council. The city council is the authority that manages the airport.
Right, but there's also experts that live amongst us that are on that advisory board too. It's not just a bunch of citizens that don't know how to fly, don't know how to, what is needed at the airport. These are expert folks on the advisory board, or it has been in the past. So that's my only comment on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
You get about 4 minutes.
We'll see, she might have some questions for me, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what boards do I sit on? And let me just maybe answer really quick. I helped to
And
write.
talk a little, I'm sorry,
I
we're
have-
hearing online that the
We're not-
volume isn't very
Okay,
good, so
I have-
please talk louder. Thanks.
Thank you. I helped to write that airport board ordinance, and we made sure that there was a representative from Daniel on there and one from the county council. The Daniel representative and the county council representative have not been showing up because the meetings have been held so infrequently. You see what I mean? And so it is a true community board to bring in people outside of the airport that are getting the impacts from the airport. and I'll keep encouraging them to come. Let
Your
me talk
boards.
about the boards that I sit on, yes. Okay, of course, I'm the chair of the city council, which means I'm supposed to lead those meetings in respectful, civil ways, where everyone that comes feels that they're listened to and that their concerns are addressed.
What
And that
other
is my
boards?
goal. I also am the chair of the Heber Valley Special Service District. Again, that is the sewer plant over past the Provo River, right? And then we have the 500-acre sewer farm that's just north of the airport. And what we do is we treat the sewage and then we put the treated effluent onto the farm. And it's worked really well, but we're now collaborating with the Utah State Department of Water Quality for what kind of capacity and what we need to do in the future there. And we've just got an engineering plan, and we're going to be doing a lot there to see what growth will demand and how to take care of that. I also am the chair of the Heber Light and Power Board, and I know that none of you are happy with those rate increases, and neither am I about that, but I did vote against building the new building because I didn't want to bond for the new building. I said we need to wait until the economy settles down, inflation isn't through the roof on every single thing that that power company needs to keep our lights on. I was the only one that voted no. I was outvoted, so yes, they're building the building. And we've had to raise rates because the sad truth of it was, when I came in 2022 as the chair, we did not have the reserves on hand to make it even through a few months. So I helped them to redesign financial transparency documents that any of you can see and that now we use extensively on the board into one page, those financial trends, and we have been able to build our reserves. We have a 4-month reserve right now if there was some catastrophe or emergency, right? I made sure that the restricted cash was restricted. If you know accounting, you know that's important. You don't mix restricted and unrestricted cash, okay? And then we're preparing for another capital facilities plan that's going to be adopted this year. I am also the chair of the Wasatch Open Lands Board. I told you about that. That has been a fantastic collaboration between Midway, the County Council, and Heber to save and protect the agricultural legacy in our valley. I'm also on the North Village Special Service District, which is the water and sewer district north of Coyote Lane up to about River Road. It's going to take in all that new development, and I'm the one that collaborated with the County Council so that it wouldn't just be a county board, because it was set up as, first of all, as a county sewer district, because the city hadn't annexed there yet, right? But I'm the one that collaborated with the County Council and said, can we get Heber City Council seats on your county board, because that is going to be in Heber City, and the County Council very graciously collaborated with me and the rest of the City Council so that we have a joint board there. I'm also on 3 Mountain Lands Association of Government boards. I was just asked last year by the leadership of the Mountain Lands Association of Government, out of the 3 county area that they serve, I was asked to be one of their leaders, and I was really humbled at that, but they made me now chair of their audit and budget committee, and we have been working through that with them.
Okay, Heidi, we're gonna have to.
Okay, and then we have a rural planning organization that I'm sitting on with Yvonne Marmy, and then I'm also a member of their executive council. It's very busy. Thank you.
Okay, I was gonna ask you a question about Heber Light and Power. You brought it up,
Okay.
you did bring it up, but I wanna know that building that got built,
Yes.
that campus, as they like to call it. It started out at 9 million and went to 11. What is
What's going on there?
what is the budget for that building as we're sitting here?
The bond was supposed to be 16, well, how far back do you want me to go? I heard from Mayor Johnston in Midway that it started out at 2 million, but that was way before COVID and inflation hit. And you
Yeah,
all know
that
what
doesn't
happened.
count.
That's right. And so when it came to me as mayor, it was 11 million, and I was still against that because I just feel like we didn't have the money to do that. We needed to prepare.
Where is it now?
Now it's at 18 million. And tariffs have not helped. Okay, it's also taken us a couple of years to get equipment in because we need specialized equipment for what's inside that building. It's going to be all of our separate buildings are gonna be more consolidated in it.
Okay,
It
and
also
then,
has,
that's
several
what I
decade
need.
capacity, so.
Right.
I'm the one that said, we need to charge impact fees for that building too, for what that excess capacity is for the growth. And the attorney said, well, we've never charged impact fees for
Okay,
buildings
Heidi.
before, and I said, let's do it.
okay. I wanna ask you, how many employees do we currently have at Heber Light and Power?
As I recall, it was, around 46 in the last meeting.
So what is that per employee?
Oh, for a building? Okay, it's going to be able to hold all of the truck equipment, so they won't, they do have some of that now, but they also park a lot outside. It's also going to have the one telecommunications tower that will do the automatic reading, across our city and then beam up to other towers that will be built as Heber Light and Power expands north of Coyote Lane.
Okay,
It has security.
that's fine.
Security, okay.
We're moving on, Heidi.
All right.
Thank you. I'm sorry, but we
Do you want
need,
me to hand it over?
yes.
There you go.
Scott, you mentioned, and we're gonna try to get back now on 2 minutes, cause I let
Okay,
you guys
2
go
minutes.
on that, so,
Okay.
but 2 minutes. You mentioned collaborating with different entities in the community. Tell us more about that. And, you had mentioned the UDOT letter. Explain that a little bit more to the public, please.
Well, there was a point in time where UDOT shut down their study because there were some conservation easements put in place by the Open Lands Board, or attempted to be put in place that would block the bypass road. In reaction to that, we got together and said, hey, we have to show UDOT that we're still united in this, that we're still wanting to move forward with the bypass road. That's why we got together with different parts of the community to collaborate on that letter. So there's 2 people from each council. We can't meet more than 2. If we do, that's a quorum, because you need 3 to make a decision. And you can see when we took this letter back to our entities, Midway decided against it, the county decided against it, Heber signed it, the school district signed it, and Daniel asked if they could sign it, so we let them sign it too. So those 2 people cannot make this decision for everybody. But other collaborations we need to have are with the people who are developing this community. Jordanelle Ridge is a big one. They're planning to bring a 5,000 seat amphitheater to the area over by the college, and a park, and a whole bunch of great amenities for our city. We need to be able to talk to them. The Slope, Harvest Village, when they were in discussions with development, first of all, they collaborated very well with UDOT, making sure they were meeting with UDOT to not hinder any of the progress of the bypass road. Several meetings with them. I called UDOT myself to say, hey, has Harvest Village met with you? Is what they're planning gonna block the bypass road? No, just to make sure that was the case. We were able to talk them up to $65,000 per unit for a fee in lieu for affordable housing, where the county previously, I think, was at $26,000 per unit, or somewhere around there. So $65,000 per unit was a huge jump from just $26,000 per unit. But you don't get there if you're not talking to people. If we just say all developers are evil and awful, they won't want to talk to us, and they won't want to help build a better community. And I really want to keep that communication open so we can have a better community. It takes work.
Well, and let me just put my 2 cents in, is the concern that the county had with UDOT meeting with developers was that the conservation of the open space was completely hindered by UDOT, but yet they went ahead and made arrangements with the developer to develop that corner. That's where the contention lied.
It wasn't hindered by UDOT, Tracy. It was hindered by the easement trying to be placed in the middle of UDOT's path.
A conservation
Conservation
easement,
easement.
a
Which a month
conservation
before-
easement can have eminent domain taking that conservation easement away. It's
That's-
been done in other parts of the state. I'm not gonna get in an argument with you, I'm
It is a
just
debate.
trying to bring a little bit more context to the statements you made,
Right,
that's all.
the conservation easement blocked the road.
Yes,
Let Heidi respond to the same.
Heidi, go ahead.
Okay, are we ready?
Yeah, you,
Yes, maybe I should just clarify, Kendall, like you're saying, the conservation easement is a legal document that a private property owner puts on their property to say, I'm selling my development rights, and the open space bond money and the other monies pay for the development rights. It's usually about half the value of the land, but then they get to keep the land and they get tax benefits, and then they get money out of their land without needing to sell. Does that make sense, everybody? And then they're able to keep the land and be able to pass it on, sell it, lease it, or keep it in the family as they desire, because when the property owners die, the estate tax is so huge based on the value of that land that a conservation easement gives them other options. And that's what, you know, we try to do at the Open Lands Board, to say, if you're willing, landowner, you want to sell your development rights, we have a way to do it. So conservation easements can be condemned. And
Yes, and then your collaborations that you've
Yes.
been able to do.
Yes, I'll give another example, right? It took me 2 years to get an updated memo of understanding with many entities in this county from about 23 and 24. So I am the chair also of the Animal Services Board. There's another board with the chief. And we knew that our old agreement with Heber, the county, Interlochen, Hideout, and Heber City, right? We knew that it was outdated. It wasn't working anymore. And so we took 2 years, we set up that committee with the county council representatives, with the representatives from the Hideout mayor and the Interlochen, if they would come, and as well as Midway and the sheriff and the chief and our animal services staff. And we planned out several options that could happen. We took it to all of the meetings, all of those councils for over 2 years until finally it was settled. Which one do you want? And we did get that new memo of understanding where now we have an updated agreement and we can provide better animal services. And I have to give kudos here to the chief. He was able to propose the template ordinance for the fines. So as we are enforcing, you know, vicious dogs, attacks, you know, other animal problems, that now the fines are the same between our city, Midway City, Hideout should have done it too, and the county. You see what I mean? It takes time, and boy does it take relationships of trust and respect to be able to do that in just 2 years. I'm just saying, that was really fast by government time.
Okay, thank you. What we're gonna do now is do a little bit more of a debate where that, Scott, you'll start, and then Heidi will respond, and then you will have the final say and rebut whatever she says.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
You have the topic?
and then we'll go back. and
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Is
I
it
do.
whatever topic we want?
No. So let's start with
forth. Can we
the,
get 2 rebuttals? So I can rebut him, rebut?
no, because the next question, you're gonna get to,
You get the rebuttal.
okay? Because we'll be here, I want audience questions here too, so. And I appreciate you trying to inform the public, but really we're trying to keep concise answers so that you can, you know, rattle off your information. If they want more information later, they can get it, okay? I just wanna try to keep it at 2 minutes. So the first question is, the state auditor's office back in June had a annual ethical behavior policy and annual ethical behavior pledge form that they sent to every public entity in the state. And let me just read the summary. It says, to follow Utah State Auditor's recommendation with the fraud risk assessment and support cities' ongoing commitment to ethical governance, staff recommendations, formal city council approval of the ethical behavior policy, and the annual ethical behavior pledge. This pledge will be signed by all employees and elected officials each year and will qualify the city for a full credit of the state fraud risk report. Okay, so that's their motivation to have everybody sign this with the bigger issue of risk assessment, fraud risk assessment, okay? So my question to you is, did both of you sign that ethical behavior policy?
I think there's a couple different ethical behavior policies.
This one was in July, maybe? It came back after the June 3rd meeting, and when I listened to the next meeting after that, it said that everybody had signed except one, but they didn't say who the one was.
I think I was absent that meeting on remote access and did not sign that. There's another ethical form, two other ethical forms. One is ethical behavior in city government. And
Sorry, keep going.
Okay.
That was my fault, sorry.
I have not signed any of the ethical forms, and I'll tell you why. Because anytime there is something like that, that's optional to sign, tends to be a way for people to use it as a weapon against you later. And I believe that, just being in the council, being on the council, you have taken an oath that you're gonna act ethically, and that oath should be enough for your behavior. So, I guess since it's a debate, we're debating this. I know that Heidi signed the ethical behavior in campaigning form. I did not. And part of that form states that if anyone disparages your opponent, that you will stand up for your opponent. And I have not seen Heidi do that. I have had a lot of negativity online. I've had slanderous comments from people in this room that she has not stood up to defend her fellow council member. And that's part of that ethical form. And that's one reason I will not sign those ethical forms, because I don't see people following the ethics that's on the form.
I'm sorry that I can't control what people say online, and I'm obviously in a lot of meetings, and I'm not monitoring Facebook 24/7 to say that's correct or not. Okay, I don't feel like that's my responsibility. I feel that in the ethical pledge form and in all the other ethics forms that I have signed, that I'm responsible for my behavior. I'm responsible for what I say and what I do. And I'm not here to attack. I have always shown respect in the meetings, even though I may not agree with what anyone might be saying. I do show respect, but I do ask hard questions because I'm concerned about you and your future. So I do sign the ethics pledge forms, and I will stand up for the facts, and I do document what I say and what I publish, and you'll be seeing that more as the campaign is really going to be kicking off with this tonight's debate. Let me see, I believe that those ethics pledges are usually the minimum standard of behavior, and I'm not a minimum person. You can understand with 12 kids, right? I'm not a minimum type of person. I'm going to be one that goes all the way that I can, and so I will do my very best to be respectful, to be civil. I'm also the one that made the motion up at Salt Lake in our city statewide conference that all cities should use the Dignity Index, which is a nationwide movement to speak respectfully and civilly to others. I've trained city staff on that for the last 3 years. I mean, this is something that I do, right? I teach ethics in the classroom also. I had to take plenty of classes on that. So I'm not going to teach one thing in the classroom and then turn around and do the opposite, just because I'm in a situation where people are pretty intense. And we do get intense discussions, but that's still no reason at all to treat anybody disrespectfully. Come on, we're neighbors. We need to live with each other here. We need to get along with each other. And boy, all the neighbors that I meet, I really enjoy getting to know them and why they're here and how great they are. Thank you.
Scott, you wanna respond to that, please?
I'm just disappointed you didn't take the opportunity then to stand up for me, but also this respect that she's talking about. I want to go back to our very first meeting as a council, and I think this is great for everybody to know. Heidi had an agenda item on that meeting, and I emailed her a long email with questions, concerns, thoughts about that item. And this was my very first meeting as a council member, and I sincerely sent the email saying, I really would like your feedback. She said to me, just ask your question during the meeting, Scott. So the meeting comes on, and I asked my question during the meeting. And she said, Scott, this isn't the time to ask questions. You need to have your own agenda item to do that. And I'm sitting there thinking, what is going on? I just sent this email and she won't respond to my question that she told me to ask during the meeting. And I really felt set up. And that's the stuff behind the scenes that nobody ever sees. You see things in public meeting. Another one of my favorites was when Ryan Stack, when he was on the council, was saying, hey, I can't serve at this time, because I'm taking care of my kids. I can't serve on these boards. And Heidi's response was, well, I'll just let Heber City know you don't want to serve them. I'm like, that's not the right response. That doesn't create collaborativity. That doesn't get us together. That doesn't help us be a team. So I don't know what respect she's talking about. It's a clear line item on her ethics form that she will stand up for candidates that are disparaged in public, and she hasn't done that.
Okay, thank you. Let's keep on this subject, since we're both having issues with this behavior. I was in a ranked choice voting meeting back in March. It got very heated. That was the most people that were in a meeting, I would think, in an audience. I mean, I showed up to many, many Heber City Council meetings over the last 20 years, but the place was packed. And it got pretty heated between you, Scott, and Heidi during the meeting. And all I'm gonna say is, there was somebody online that asked, what is the consequences if somebody is not being cooperative and civil? Let's just put it that way. I don't remember the exact words.
Yeah.
So that's my question is, on this ethics policy, are there any enforcement or consequences to the ethics policy at Heber City?
The ethics policy is a voluntary pledge, and Mr. Phillips, back 2 years ago or so, put a resolution on the agenda to remove the city's ethics policy that has been in place before I even came along back in 2012. That motion failed, all right, because the majority of the city council wants to have an ethics resolution. So to me, and when I read that resolution, Tracy, it is a self-enforcing resolution, all right? The city council members are supposed to be adults and be able to keep that resolution. But the city council also has powers under the state code to be able to censor, you know, another elected official. We've seen it happen in other cities in the state when you might remember that Smithfield city council member that got mad at the police. It was on the news a couple of weeks ago, and the rest of the city council was very frustrated, it seemed, and he ended up just resigning. So you can see it's a self-enforcing kind of a thing. So now let me just explain what happened at that ranked choice meeting. I asked the city council if they were satisfied in having a ranked choice voting system where the majority of voters stopped voting in round 6. And I was citing the county clerk's numbers from the election, that over half of the voters that had voted in the 2023 city election stopped voting. They voted in round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then they got to round 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and from round 7 to 11, half of the voters stopped voting. And that's not the promise of ranked choice voting. And I said, is the city council happy with that kind of a system for our voters? And then I was attacked by my opponent, who called me a liar in the meeting, and I did not respond back. I just let him say what he wants to say, because, you know, I can't control him either, just like I can't control people online.
Okay, Scott, let me just, while you're getting ready, let me just say too, that I was in the audience, and there were a lot of upset
Yes.
people in the audience itself, so that's all I.
And none of them heard me say that Heidi is a liar. I said, Heidi, you're lying to the public, which is true. I've listened to the minutes. I said, Heidi, you're lying to the public, and this is why. We have security in voting, and Heidi said, not what she just said just now. She said 55% of people believe their votes didn't count in the last election. I said, Heidi, you're lying to the public. And that's important to say in a public meeting if the truth isn't being told. Because Heidi herself, in her newsletter in November, published an article of how to do ranked choice voting. And she told everybody you have to vote for all 10 people. And that's not true. If you read the instructions on ranked choice voting, you only vote for the people you want to vote for. You can vote for 5, you can vote for 1, you can vote for 7, it doesn't matter. If you vote for 1, your vote still counts. And I was listening to this debate for like an hour and a half, and finally, when she doubled down that 55% of votes didn't count, after having stepped on Trina, who's our recorder, who explained that the votes were counted, it was a good vote, there was nothing wrong with how we voted. It just was so disappointing to me. I never called Heidi a liar. I said she was lying, there is a difference. This is politics. But I'm not gonna sit there and allow that to happen in a meeting. And I believe that I'm more qualified to run the city council meetings because of that. I don't need to have the last word every time. I don't need to be the one asking all the questions. I don't need to have everything go my direction. I want to make sure we're collaborating as a council, that everybody has a choice, an opportunity to speak, the presenters have an opportunity to complete their thoughts, and that we're telling the truth to the public. That's the biggest confusion the public has, is what is being said, is it the truth? And you deserve to have the truth. There is truth.
Great.
My turn?
Didn't you already speak on this
No,
subject?
It's
do I
really
get to do
rebuttal.
the rebuttal?
Okay, thank you. I'm trying to do a few things,
All
sorry.
right. All right, there's a lot of things perhaps I would like to say there, but what I will say is that, what kind of leadership does Heber City want? Does Heber City want leadership that will make accusations like this in a meeting and be on the news in negative ways? Or does Heber City deserve better? I think Heber City deserves better. And when I emailed Scott back in May, I knew he was going to run for mayor. I said, Scott, if we both give our best in the campaign, then we won't have any regrets. I'm trying to give you my best, and I have given you the very best that I can in the last 4 years, where I have not attacked and accused people. Please understand that it's the mayor's job to run that meeting. So I introduce the agenda item, and then I wrap it up at the end and introduce the next agenda item. So that's not forcing to have the last word all the time. That's called, what's the action on this action item? What is staff going to do? Have these questions been addressed? Okay, if that's all good, we'll move on to the next item. If nobody does that in the meeting, then are we going to get anything done? See, that's part of the mayor's job, to chair that meeting and make sure things are taken care of and that the details aren't left behind, and making sure that all the information is there in the first place. I know our staff is really loaded because our staff has been focused so much on growth. But to me, I want our staff to be just as focused on transparency and communicating to the public. I have constantly been saying, we need to reach out to the public. We need to do citywide surveys. We need to do them professionally. City council didn't want to spend that money, so I've been doing them. I've been doing them myself. Now I teach how to do surveys, so I make sure I meet the standards that I teach in the classroom, okay? And I'm trying to reach out to you on major city issues. There is a city survey that's going on right now. I've also had you rank every single city service and program and given that back to the city staff so that they can say, okay, here's a baseline of what the public thinks about you. Let's see what we can do to improve. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. We're gonna do one more question up here, but I would like people to come on up, get ready to ask an audience question. Please feel free to walk up here and get ready to go so we can almost start at 7:30 for the city council. Okay, one more question. Scott, so explain to the public about the mayor's powers and what was done when Heidi became mayor. Some of those powers were stripped from the mayoral office. And so please explain what those powers were And then also, I wanna know, if you become mayor, are you gonna reinstate all those powers that were taken? Thank you.
No, actually, I don't recall, I mean, I know we voted on something, but I don't recall what mayoral power was stripped. But Heidi, previous to being mayor, is why we're in a weak mayor system. She, on the city council, had proposed many times to reduce the powers of the mayor and voted for that. So a lot of what she has now, and this is what I understand, she's laughing at me, but
I'm sorry.
what I understand now is that the mayoral powers of weak mayor system came way before us. And I would say the mayor needs less power. The reason is the whole system of weak mayor form of government is to encourage collaboration, to encourage working together. No one person deserves that much power. And I would not appoint myself chair to any board. And I'm gonna say that again. I'm not gonna appoint myself chair to any board. There are qualified people in this community that can chair these boards. My focus will be Heber City and their interests. Because Heidi has said before, if I'm serving on a board as the chair, I have a conflict of interest with the city. And I'm gonna go for the board first, city second. So I think that needs to be said. I mean, we need to have people in mayor and government here in Heber City that's focused solely on Heber City. But I don't recall what.
Well, let me help you out a little bit. I think there was a time when there were airport
meetings.
expansion,
Yeah.
public meetings and hearings that, the mayor was not allowed to run or
Right.
conduct.
We did, after seeing one meeting, which was a disaster, because we had experts ready to present, we had people, lawyers ready to present on the airport, and it just did not go well with the mayor running the meeting. We said, this needs to be run by our experts, by our lawyers, not by the mayor. We're gonna take that authority away. So we did, and it was a majority of the council. On the council, I can't do anything by myself, it has to be a majority. So majority of the council did that.
Thank you.
Okay, yep.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm so sorry I don't recall saying what he's saying that I said. Don't recall that at all, and let me give you some facts, okay? The first way that this city council has tried to take away the mayor's powers was to stop the mayor from having discretion for running the meeting and being able to call on people that had questions perhaps at any time. They didn't like that. They changed the rules so that now we can only have 20 minutes public comment in one section and then 10 minutes public comment for other items. But if somebody makes a motion before that 10 minutes of public comment, then I cannot call for the public comment. So I feel that that alone, stopping the mayor, actually stopped you from participating in the meetings. Another way that Mr. Phillips has tried to limit the mayor's powers is that he wanted to pass a resolution so that I could not, as mayor, appoint a new chief of police. And please remember when Chief came along and previous Chief Booth retired, that I held a nationwide search in conjunction with Chief Booth. We had an expert panel come in and interview 3 candidates from across the country. Chief Sever definitely rose to the top. And then if you recall, I held a public open house where Chief Sever and the other candidate both gave presentations. All of you were able to give comments back. They also held an open house here in the police building with all of the officers giving their comments back. I ended up nominating 2 to the city council, and Mr. Phillips, as well as all of the city council, approved Chief Sever right there. I thought it was a terrific process. But then after it was all done, Mr. Phillips wanted to remove the mayor's power to nominate the chief of police. It failed, all right? Another way that they have limited the mayor's powers is that I put a public hearing on the agenda to have an optional public hearing. It's optional, it's not required, but I wanted a public hearing for you to be able to come and tell the city council what you thought about that airport expansion back in 2022. Well, the rest of the city council didn't want that except for Yvonne, and they immediately called a special meeting before the meeting of the public hearing, and they voted to take that away from me. Now, in our rules, it says that nobody on the council can take away an agenda item if a member of the city council put it on. You can't take it away, but they did. And I said to the city attorney, how's this legal when we have our rules that no one can take this away without that person's approval, put it on, and he just wouldn't say, and so they voted to take that public hearing away from you. So we never had a public hearing about the expansion vote to the airport. I've got, let me see, was there any other examples? I think there's a couple more examples, but you're ringing.
I am. It's 7:30, and I don't wanna keep the city council waiting too long.
Okay.
Scott, do you want to respond to that?
Regular bell?
Yes.
Oh. Like I said before, I can't do anything, that just by myself. It has to have a majority of the city council to do it. I do remember the search for the police chief. I'm glad we ended up with who we have here. But it was not smooth by any means, and it was not a very good process from our point of view. Without really consulting with staff, or asking the experts we've hired, the mayor just did it all on her own. Almost got us into a lot of trouble, because the questionnaire she put together was not completely legal. I would lean on our HR department, on those who are trained in hiring individuals to do these searches. She did not involve the city council except for Yvonne Barney on any of the process except for the very final part, which I would have loved to have been in on the city council. And really what the code says is that the mayor has the authority to bring forward a candidate by the consent of the city council. So just, there was no collaboration, no working together. Again, it was a solo show. I think we probably, because we had gone through the process also with the city attorney, and that was arduous and tough, and we didn't really have any say in that one, just had to approve it once it came to the city council. And it's probably where it drove us to think maybe we need, the city council needs to have more authority over this than just one person. But like I said, the mayor needs less power. The mayor needs the authority to run the meetings, to collaborate with the individuals on the council. Mayor doesn't have a vote unless it's to break a tie. Just like I don't have a vote on the airport board. I'm there as a non-voting member unless it's a tie. And that's how it should be for to the mayor of the city. Do I still have more time?
It was just about to go.
Okay.
So let me ask you then, if you become mayor, are you gonna reinstate those things that were removed?
No, like I said, I'll probably make it more strict, which I'll have authority to do that as mayor, to really take away all the mayoral powers. We don't need anyone who's power hungry to be the mayor of Heber City. That's how we can stay a community.
Okay, great, thanks. Any audience questions? Nobody's stepping up. Please, let's do it. I'll allow 3
Where do you want me?
right here where I am.
I'm not scared, I'm just freezing.
No,
Not
right
here?
behind there.
Okay.
Speak into the microphone, thanks.
Okay, Scott, I would like to know how you believe this is ethical. I was at a meeting and there was a member of the community, and they came up and, well, 2 of them. One came up and said, accused one of the members of the council of contacting their boss and trying to get them fired. Then that person's father came up later. And as I was leaving the meeting, you literally jumped off the podium and followed that member as he was leaving. He was at the bottom of the stairs, and I was at the top of the stairs. And I'm not exaggerating, you were yelling at him, saying he needed to listen to you, he needed to see your text messages. I found that extremely unethical and not very becoming of a, council member.
Do you have a question?
So, how do you consider, and I have one more.
Allison, I've been waiting for this question a long time because I want to give my side of the story.
Okay,
So I managed private golf clubs in my previous life before coming to Heber. And I live in Red Ledges, and I'm a member of Red Ledges, and Joey Barney is a bartender at Red Ledges. We just approved the Harvest Village annexation. And Joey put some comments online that were pretty directed to me.
Excuse me, this is my family member, and I do not appreciate you bringing him in. Nobody mentioned his name.
I didn't mention it.
No,
Well, it's in the public
so
record.
don't do it. Well, then if we're gonna bring public record, then I should be able to rebuttal that, because I'm
Please.
very
That'd be
concerned about
fine.
this.
I mean, she didn't kind of
That'd
bring
be
it up.
fine.
I mean, if you didn't bring up a name, you brought the scenario up.
You brought the scenario up. I've been waiting for this opportunity to tell my
So
side.
he brought up the name.
But you
So-
brought the scenario
Okay,
up.
let him speak, please.
So having been a club manager, right when I saw those comments on Facebook, I just got an email from our club manager saying, hey, we'd like to give our employees a bonus for Christmas. Are you willing to donate to that? And he and I have a great relationship. We talk about things because I manage private clubs. So I just sent this, comment to him. I said, I'm not sure I want to donate this year. And his comment to me was, oh, I'll talk to him about it. Well, then I show up at the meeting and I'm accused by two people of trying to get somebody fired, which was never what I was trying to do, and that was never what the discussion was that I know of. But it's just, again, that we live in a small community, and things you write online they impact people. They impact people's lives. I went out to follow Dell into the stairway, and it's not.
Don't bring my name into this.
You were there too. You spoke in the public meeting.
Don't bring my name into this.
Well, I went out to follow a citizen into the stairwell, and who I consider a great friend for many years, and I still do, and I wish we could get past this. And I just said, Del, do you want to hear my side of the story? And he said no. And it was a heated conversation, but the chief was there. He witnessed the whole thing. It's on camera. What I was really disappointed about was that the mayor and Yvonne didn't come and talk to me about it. They went and talked to the chief, the city manager, and the city attorney about it. And I could have answered their questions, I could have talked it through, but they didn't want to talk to me. From what I hear, that was a 3-hour conversation, and, talk to the people that defend you, don't talk to someone else. That's why I went directly to speak to the citizen. I want to talk directly to people.
Do I get a rebuttal? Because he did not answer my question. He did not.
What was your question?
My question was.
No,
did you
you're
consider-
not a candidate, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Okay, he answered to the best of his ability, and next question, please.
He was yelling down, screaming, it was. Okay.
I did answer that part, and I said it's not how it happened. And the chief can corroborate that if you like.
I was
Alright,
What is this for?
hello, this is for both of you. My questions always go for both people, so, because I really don't feel need to be specific on things.
See that?
Need
She
to
wants the
know
last word.
General, I have 5 questions, so you can switch back and forth and see how
Perfect.
many they allow me to actually ask. Okay, so, hello, my name is Denise Harris. Just FYI, I've been in the community for 10 years. And actually, funny, had the same idea as I drove down 40 and like, oh, there's a pretty place to live, and then here we are. Okay. All right, so my question number 1, if I get to ask more than one, when I was teaching at the high school.
Just one question.
Oh, but I can come back in line. All right. Anyways, we'll see.
Just one
Okay,
question. We
for
have a
now.
couple others that
For
want to
now.
ask
Yeah, we'll
questions,
see how
plus
it
we
goes.
have 7:30 for council members.
Okay.
And
So.
Parker has a whole lot of homework tonight. He's
Thank you, Parker.
straight.
Okay.
We'll be
We'll see
fast.
which one I do. All right, see where we go. All right, so I've always looked at voter data every time there's been an election coming up because I used to teach at the high school, and no matter what I was teaching, every October I started in a voter type of lesson to encourage civic responsibility. So I'll be brutally honest, the voter participation rate in this valley sucks.
Yes.
Okay, for lack of a better word, at the council, at the county and the Heber level, probably still the same for Midway, Charleston. I'm a Heber resident, so I didn't look at their data too much. So my question is 2 parts. Do you think, especially with some of the things going on in the world and our state, what is your opinion on mail-in vote ballots versus only in-person ballots. Just curious what your opinion is, because there is direction there. Obviously, you as a mayor won't have that decision, that's, but. And looking at voter participation rates, any ideas you have, you could do that you would want to do to increase voter participation?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, I've been working on that, trying to figure that out. I'd love to have at least 50% vote, which would be wonderful. We haven't had that in many, many years. We had 30%, just over 30% in the primary. What I've been doing to help increase that is just going door to door, talking to people individually, getting them more interested in the process, answering their questions, hoping they get out to vote. And I'm totally for the mail-in ballots. I don't think there's anything disparaging there. They check signatures, making sure that those align. We always have some that have to get thrown out because the signature doesn't match their voter record. But the voting system is extremely, extremely regulated, extremely clean, and I have good faith in our voting system.
Denise, just so you know, in my first election, there was 8% voter turnout, which was just awful, right? So I think it was my second year, so 10 years ago, we went to the mail-in ballot and we immediately increased that percentage to that 30%, which we've pretty much been hanging around. But again, I teach this in government that this is a nationwide problem. This is not something that we're going to solve immediately because that's just the way it is in off-year elections, especially with primaries or generals. Most people are going to vote in the presidential elections, which doesn't match up to any of our city elections, all right? So I've been asking the city council to provide more voter information to the public, and I will keep asking on that too. You can see it on my various websites. I do like what the state is trying to do to say that when you drop off your mail-in voter ballot, you've got to show ID at the same time. I think that's a very logical thing to do, and it will help protect the integrity of our elections. I hate to see mail-in ballots go away though, because I don't want to go back down to 8% voter turnout, okay? You have to show up on a day. I really like the early voting that the county council is allowing, right? And remember, early voting starts October 21st. It goes to October 31st. The county clerk doesn't have a lot of staff there. So the early or provisional voting is for people that haven't registered yet and that need to go there and get registered and vote at the same time. That's called provisional ballots. Or if you have special needs, say handicapped or something, you want help with your ballot, that provisional early voting is there. So I just hope that the city will pay attention and care. Believe me, he and I are going to be campaigning really hard over this next month, and you're going to see us pop up in lots of places, and we're going to be talking more and more about these issues. So please look for that. We both have campaign websites that you can learn a lot from, and you're very welcome to reach out to us, call us, email us at any time, and we will help you.
Okay, last question.
My name is Patty Spread. I'm with the Wasatch GOP. And my question for both of you comes to a taxpayer lens. That's why I ran for the Wasatch GOP, because Utah is currently the most heavily taxed Republican state in the nation. And up here in Heber, we have all seen our property taxes go up and up and up and up. So a couple of questions. Several months ago, I came to a city council meeting when I heard about what was planned for the downtown park. The planning commission came and gave a presentation. For me, I saw dollar signs, so I asked the question, but it got glazed over on who was going to pay for that. So this is a two-part question. How much did the band shell overrun on budget? And given the fact that the downtown park and the extensive changes that you guys want to make to that park, how is that going to impact us, the taxpayers? Because it is getting very untenable to live in Heber just based on our property taxes. So I want to know, as mayor, and it's kind of scary that you want to give power away because I want my elected leaders to have power, to protect me, the taxpayer. I want to know what you're going to do to keep our taxes affordable and not make this Park City 2.0. So how much do we overrun on the band shell, and how much, let's be real, is it going to affect us, the taxpayers, to completely change the park that we didn't really ask to change?
I'm so sorry that I do not have any overruns on the band shell. I do know that it took a very long time to complete, And so there are some penalties built into the contract, and we are working on recovering penalties, but I don't recall it being any large overrun. We were able to get a $600,000 state grant. We also had park impact fees and the tap tax money that went towards the band show. So as I recall, it was around $1.8 million, but I can double check that figure, okay? Now, why are we so heavily taxed, right? One reason is because, 70-some-odd% of our state is owned by the federal government, and we can't privately develop that, and yet we have to pay for roads and emergency services, just like we do in Wasatch County when people get lost, right? We have a police department that has to cover federal land and so forth, and the payment in lieu of taxes, they're called Phillips, from Washington DC to pay supposedly their property taxes for how much they own in this county is not very much, and it hasn't been increasing with inflation. But that's on the county level, all right? Within the city, we don't have federal government lands, you know, the way the county does up over Daniel, Strawberry, and beyond, okay? So within the city, please realize that we have a $17.9 million budget, and about 75% of that goes to salaries. So what I've done within the city for years is that I have pushed that the user fees and the impact fees keep up with the real costs. So what are user fees? If you're a developer and you come in and say, okay, I need your city planner, I need your city engineer, and I need your building inspector to come out and help me get my property approved and make sure it's inspected and all of that, then you pay for that person's time. Does that make sense? You're using that service, so you need to pay for it. The impact fees have been a big deal. We've got to keep up with inflation and the tremendous costs it costs. We have an impact fee on this building, right? So I've really focused on user fees and impact fees, which are not property taxes or sales taxes.
I'd like to answer your question. The band shell cost just over $3 million. That's total cost. There was a grant that paid for some of that. The downtown park, we obviously don't have that totally planned yet of what amenities we will provide. And there is debate on, you know, if there will be an ice ribbon, for example, or whatever goes there. But $9 million of impact fees for parks can go toward that. So there's money built in already from impact fees that could go toward the park. And then if we look at just 100 West between Center Street and 200 South, the buildings that are currently there, the Wasatch Wave, the fire station, Heber Light and Power, if we're able to redevelop those, just that side of those two blocks, potentially we take it from $1 million taxable value to $30 million taxable value. So that increase in taxable value, which one of the only ways we can really raise taxes is increase in taxable value, and property taxes in Wasatch County, we have to have a major discussion on anyway, because I agree with you. We should not have experienced any growth in our taxes with the growth that we've had here in Wasatch County. Heber City's,
You spend a lot of money.
Heber City's 8% of those taxes, but just the way that taxes in Utah are set up, if you have $100 million you're raising, you can't increase that without a public meeting. The only way to raise taxes is by having growth, so having more buildings paid into that pot. So all the growth in the county should have raised that pot without raising all of our taxes. So that's something we need to work on, and I'm sure Tracy's deep into that. But
So the question is, is your goal then to just keep building more and more
No.
houses, get more and more people, so that now they eventually make our taxes go down? Because then that causes a whole other bunch of.
no, I would say that's not the goal. But like I said before, there's 8,000 units already planned and ready to be developed in Heber City, or in Wasatch County. But in that zone itself, if we can redevelop that area from a $1 million taxable value to $30 million, that'll help pay for the park.
That's potential, that's not guaranteed.
Not guaranteed, no.
Okay, thank you.
No investment is.
Okay, thank you. Each one, say where your website is, where people can find you in 5 seconds.
dscottphillips.com is my website.
Okay,
My website is voteformayorfranco.com. Thank you so much for coming.
thank you for showing up and participating.
Thank you.
Okay, city council, come on up quickly, please.
let's erase your